What if I told you that a $1,000 purchase could end up costing you $1,800 and take you over 4 years to pay off, even if you never buy another thing on that card? That's not a hypothetical. That's the reality for millions of people carrying a credit card balance right now. Today, we're breaking down exactly how credit card debt works from the ground up so you can see the true cost hiding in plain sight. Before we talk about the cost, let's make sure we're clear on what a credit card actually is, because most people think of it as a payment method. It is, but it's also something else. A very short-term loan, automatically renewed every single month. Here's how it works at the most basic level. You swipe your card, and the bank pays the merchant on your behalf. Then, at the end of your billing cycle, usually about 30 days, the bank sends you a bill. If you pay that bill in full, the loan costs you nothing. Zero. The bank essentially lent you money for free for 30 days. But if you don't pay it in full, if you only pay part of it, or the minimum payment, the remaining balance doesn't disappear. It carries over to the next month. And that's where the story gets expensive. Think of it like borrowing a friend's car. If you return it on time with a full tank, no problem. But if you keep it longer, suddenly there are fees. And those fees add up fast. When you signed up for your credit card, somewhere in the fine print was a number called the APR. That stands for annual percentage rate. It's the interest rate the bank charges you on any balance you carry. As of recent years, the average credit card APR in the United States sits around 20 to 22%. To put that in perspective, a typical car loan might be 6 or 7%. A mortgage might be 6 to 8%. A credit card at 20% is, by comparison, an extraordinarily expensive way to borrow money. But here's what most people miss. APR is the annual rate, but your credit card doesn't charge you once a year. It charges you every single day. The bank takes your APR, divides it by 365, and applies that tiny daily rate to your balance. So if your APR is 20%, your daily interest rate is roughly 0.000055%. That sounds tiny. The problem is it's happening every single day, and it's doing something called compounding. Compounding is the engine that makes credit card debt so costly, and it works like this. When interest is charged on your balance, that interest gets added to what you owe. Then next time interest is calculated, it's calculated on the new, higher balance, the original amount plus the interest you already owed. You're paying interest on your interest. Let's make that real with an example. Say you carry a $3,000 balance on a card with a 20% APR, and let's say you decide to only make the minimum payment each month, which credit card companies set very low on purpose, often around 2 to 3% of the balance. In this scenario, it would take you roughly 14 to 16 years to pay off that $3,000. And the total amount you'd pay? Closer to $6,000 to $7,000. You borrowed $3,000 and you paid back double. That is the real cost of credit card debt hiding inside a minimum payment. This is how credit card interest is calculated in practice, not on some abstract annual schedule, but daily, compounding relentlessly on whatever balance you haven't paid off. And because minimum payments are designed to keep you in debt longer, that's genuinely how they're structured, the compounding has more time to do its damage. Here's a question worth asking. If credit card debt is so expensive, why do so many people end up carrying a balance? The answer is partly psychological. Credit cards are specifically designed to reduce what economists call the pain of paying. When you hand over cash, you feel it. You watch it leave your hand. Studies in behavioral economics have shown that people spend measurably more when using credit cards compared to cash for the same purchases, simply because the exchange doesn't feel as immediate or as real. There's also something called optimism bias. Most people who carry a balance tell themselves a version of this story. I'll pay it off next month. And they mean it sincerely. But then next month comes, and there's another unexpected expense. Or the balance is just a little higher than expected because of that daily compounding we talked about. The gap between intention and behavior is where interest quietly accumulates. Credit card companies understand this deeply. The minimum payment system, the rewards programs, the buy now, pay later framing, these aren't accidents. They're carefully designed features that benefit from people staying in debt longer. Understanding this dynamic doesn't mean anyone is foolish for carrying a balance. It means the system is built to be difficult to escape once you're in it. Let's bring everything together with one clear, concrete picture of the cost of credit card debt over time. Imagine 3 people, each with $3,000 in credit card debt at 20% APR. Person A pays only the minimum payment every month. As we covered, they'll likely spend 14 or more years paying it off and pay somewhere near double the original amount in total. Person B pays a fixed $100 per month. Their timeline drops dramatically to around 3.5 years, and they pay roughly $1,200 in interest on top of the $3,000. Still expensive, but far less than Person A. Person C pays $200 per month. They're done in about 17 months and pay roughly $500 in interest total. Same debt, same interest rate. The only variable is how much they pay each month, and the difference in total cost is thousands of dollars. This is the mechanics of how credit card debt works playing out in slow motion. The math isn't complex once you see it laid out. The hard part is that most people never see it laid out at all. Credit card statements are required by law in the United States to show you how long it will take to pay off your balance making only minimum payments, and how much it will cost. It's right there on the statement, but the numbers can feel abstract until you understand the compounding behind them. Credit cards are not inherently good or bad. They're a financial tool, but like any tool, the way they work matters enormously. And the cost of using them incorrectly is measured in years and thousands of dollars. What we covered today is really a story about invisible math, daily compounding, minimum payment traps, and the psychological gap between what we intend to do and what actually happens. Understanding these mechanics is the first step to making clearer decisions. If this kind of deep dive breakdown was useful to you, consider hitting like. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who are looking for this type of explanation. And subscribe if you want to keep learning how money actually works, one concept at a time. We'll see you in the next one.